All and welcome to another review and unboxing. This time we'll be having a look at Hat Industries Huns. So this is number 8298 for ease of googling. And on the front box, on the front of the box, we've got a portrait of a rather typical looking Hunnish light cavalryman. Whether or not he's light or heavy, we don't really know how well armoured they were, or at least I don't. Obviously, there are experts out there who could probably debunk about 98% of what I say in these, but as a layman, I can only really go on what I see, and what I see here is a reasonably well drawn portrait of a between 3rd and 5th century Hunnic warrior. So we get 12 figures at 1/72 scale. However, what we're going to do is flip over on the back, because there's really not much to say about the front. So yeah, typical disclaimers, cautions on the side, your typical watermarks for sale in the European Union, barcodes, blah blah blah. But what we're really interested in is two of these things here. So unlike other sets with photographs or rudimentary painting guides, we've actually got pictures drawn of what to expect. Now it says 12 figures, but we can see 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, and these come on 3 sprues. So what you do get is you get 5 mounted figures and 12 and I believe it's 4. Yes, I think it's four cavalry, 4 steeds for them to sit upon. So what is good is you get more cavalrymen than you do actual steeds. So if you really wanted, you could make all of them light infantry. You could throw a few of this more well-armoured sort of captain, noble-looking guy. You could change the proportions to how you feel. So what we'll also do is we'll have a bit of a closer look at the rest of the line. So these are sort of part of a series which are Romans and enemies. So you've got from the early Roman Empire, the Imperial, the Republic, and then the later Roman era with Saxons, Franks, Visigoths, and opposition forces. So yeah, not bad. Like if you happened across these in a hobby shop or something, you could flip it over and this gives you a fair representation of what's inside. The pictures are obviously drawings of the figures included. So like I say, I've got quite a few of them, because if you are going to have, I'm going to use these more as either light cavalry for perhaps a Mongolian or a Chinese army. And I personally believe, aside from the 1,000-year difference between the time of the Kublai Khan and the Golden Horde and these, aside from maybe stirrups, you can't really it wouldn't be too much of a stretch of the imagination. So yes, so you get 3 identical sprues in a set. They contain 4 horses, 5 figures, with 3 options for the arms, because 2 of the figures do not come with arms. They have separately attached ones, one of a spear, and I think there's one of a sword. Yes, one of a sword, which is this, and then the composite bowman there. So, like I say, there are maybe light on options for the individual figure, but as far as actually mounting them on the cavalry goes, you've got choices here. So, for instance, this guy could be leading the entire set, and you could make all of the rest. You could discard this chap, you could discard this chap, or perhaps, you could vary. You could really add a bit of variety. So I quite like it. I would probably prefer just to have extra horses, but looking at the sprues and seeing as these are sort of like mini sets, they're mini kits. However, that's why I bought so many of them. So let's actually have a closer look at the sprue. So it's made of a really soft, bendy plastic, which is good because it means it's very posable, but it also means that it's not very tensile. It will not keep its shape. No, it's very tensile. It moves around. It's not very ductile. It does not keep its shape. I think I'm getting those terms right. Maybe not. Maybe I am. So having a look, the horses kind of look goofy. If one compares them to like the Italeri sets or any of the future sets that I'll be reviewing, you do see they kind of look chunky. The proportions are a little bit off. They've got really fat necks, and however, these are they should be step ponies. However, I believe that step ponies always had their tails up when they were when they were moving, and Arabian horses are the more typical where you see the tails and such always kept down. So, yep, if we have a look at the figures. So, yeah, not much flash on the actual figure themselves. And the figures look far more sort of detailed and well sculpted than the horses do, which is fair enough. I mean, as far as step ponies go, they look pretty good. I like the way that they do look basic and they do look simple. The proportions do look a bit off and the faces are a bit sort of cartoony. However, because they are so big and chunky, they're going to be easy to paint. And they've got quite, they've got ribbons on them and tails and ropes and a little bit of carriage on them. And if we actually have a look at the figures, like I said before, I never really got round to, the boots look authentic, they're curved, heelless, and they have no stirrups. Because the stirrup, of course, was a later invention, which wouldn't entirely be out of the picture if we say that this is the later, Huns. But, yeah, stirrups can easily be painted on. You could do as much as just a brown streak going through the inside seam of the leg, and that'd do you. And if you did want to make a host for Attila the Hun, quite easily done. You could just plunk all of these, and then maybe get one of the Mongolian cavalry sets with the decked out lamellar armor, which this figure seems to be wearing here. He seems to be in lamellar, which is individual plates or bits of metal, bits of leather, cured, boiled, what have you, all tied together in individual sections. So it looks almost like a Spargel helm that he has, but there's a nice plume on the top of it, enough to add just a little bit of a flair to it. It wouldn't be a stretch of the imagination to say that he's a nobleman leading his tribe westwards. The Huns, from what we can sort of piece together, obviously steppe warriors, probably Turkic, Uyghur, Xiongnu, Mongolians from the Central Asian steppes who've migrated westwards. And so called Huns. It's a bit of a pejorative term these days and probably was back then. However, can you really say that those that have mastered equestrianism and pastoralism are actual barbarians? I don't think so. I think they were all sort of barbarians back in the day. The Romans did like crucifying people and conquering and subjugating and enslaving nations, but that was part of the course back then. Thank God we've moved on. I mean, we should do. It's been 2,000 years. So yeah, on the whole, not a bad set. I think that these are pretty cheap. I think I got mine cheaper than... I think these are the cheapest that I've got. And like I say, the Emhar set, I think it's equivalent in price to the Emhar set. You get an extra 5 mounted figures. Yes, you don't get so many options and whatever else, but you get an extra 5 mounted figures. You get an extra few mounted infantry without the steeds, the cavalry without the steeds. So if you've got a few horses knocking about, there's nothing stopping you. Or perhaps if you're a talented sculptor, you could perhaps sculpt your own, or I wouldn't recommend it because it's more or less theft, but you could probably get away with casting or buying some prints online. and throwing the remainder on. So I like the way that you've got the options, but I would probably have preferred the extra horses. So on the whole, I would actually say that this is a solid 3, perhaps even a 4 out of 5. I don't know much about the historical accuracy. I like the way that they've got a load of, detail on them. Let's have a quick look at the back. They've got quivers along straps. They've got good composite bows. Flash, yeah, there's a bit of flash, but I'm not that bothered about flash. It's actually quite fun and cathartic to scrape off some flash sometimes. So yeah, solid. I mean, everything is solid really, but that's why I'm reviewing them, because I like them, and I wouldn't like them if they weren't any good. Like I say, these are closer to Italeri than they are to Strelitz in terms of quality, but probably not quite up there with Italeri. And I believe Hat Industries are quite a long-time firm. They've been going long enough, so yeah, I mean, these are a great addition to any collection, really. You could probably depict the beginning of the fall of the Roman Empire. You could stick these against some, barbarian-looking Germanic tribes. That'd be an interesting scene. And like I say, light cavalry, mounted archers, with the option for a polearm with a spearman. Yeah, not bad at all. Like I say, these I actually really looking forward to painting these. They come on a really bendy, soft. Look how much that's flexing tan plastic. So if you weren't so interested in painting them or whatever, you could get away with just giving them a quick spray, quick black wash, highlight with some stone or ivory, and there you have it. Pick out some browns for the horses and whites, and there you go. Nothing special, nothing fancy. But yeah, no, I really like these figures. I think best value for money set that I've got, really, because 12 figures for, I think it works out at less than 50 pence a model. So worth picking up if you can. As usual, you can get them, just Google it, huns.co.uk for me. E-models, scale model shop. They all tend to stock this stuff. Hopefully they're not going anywhere and they keep pumping them out, and who knows, maybe we'll get more. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and hope to see you again soon.